Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today we're going to be having a look at the new G.I. Joe Classified Series figures, as I want to go through most of them. This is all figures that came out in 2025, and this one is of course Snake Eyes and the Polar Bear, and one of the first ones that is being released in the Mass Device series. So sadly, the Mass Device series seems to be allocated to Target, and due to the fact that I'm not a big fan of Target, so yeah, not very happy about it. They have a tendency of selling out very fast. Target, well, I cannot buy from Target, so that's a bit problematic. So of course, I could still purchase from Hasbro Pulse Europe, but it still comes in cheaper for now, even with the rise in prices. For luckily for now, these haven't not been impacted, but yeah, so not very happy about that part. So of course, this is of course a figure that came out in 2025. This is 161 in the G.I. Joe Classified series. So of course we do have this over here, some drawings, and of course we have a little bit of details around here. So on this box here, it's also very interesting to see over here in the background, I'm going to bring it up a bit. You see we have the old blind guy with two dogs. So I'm wondering if this is not a little tease on the behalf of Hasbro, making us and announcing that they're going to be making this figure. Of course, this figure never came out in the original line. Well, also this one didn't come out in the original line, except in the 25th anniversary, but we'll be talking a bit more about it when we get into the history of the figure. So, of course, you can see it's always the same thing with a little bit of imagery behind. So, of course, this is taken from the cartoon. We'll be talking about it also in the history part about it. So, without further ado, let's dive into the history of this figure. So, history of this figure. So, of course, like I said, this figure never came out in the original line from 1994 to from 1982 to 1994. So yeah, this is something that is only typical for this figure over here. So of course we got it in the 25th anniversary and it came in a box set. So sadly I do not have the box set with me, it's tidied up. I do have a picture, the one I took when I was doing the clearing of in the warehouse. So you can see up here in the right corner, you can see this is of course the Mass Device series that they did for the 25th anniversary, and I guess this is where we're going with these also. So as you can see, this is set 1 of 5. Of course, this set comes with 4 different figures. So you have, of course, Snake Eyes on the top left. Then you have a Cobra Trooper pushing a chariot with the material for the Mass Device. Then we have a Baroness version of her in the swimmer suit with something to collect the mass device for the water, this heavy water that she's going to collect. I'm guessing that we will be getting that Baroness in the G.I. Joe Classified series. I don't see why they wouldn't do it. And then the last figure who was included in this set was, of course, Stalker with his jetpack. That's something that you see at the beginning of the cartoon when they're trying to infiltrate the base, the US Army base. So that set came out in 2008. So you see, this is something that is pretty new, and this gives a lot of hope that we're going to see G.I. Joe Classified going on for a few more years. Let's dive into what we get in the box. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff that you can already see over here. So of course we have the polar bear. So I think it would be only fair that we start by the polar bear and then go on to Snake Eyes. So of course he does have some little accessories over here. So again, Hasbro has done a pretty good job with the bear. Over here you can really see that he is severely battle damaged. He has a scar over his eye, a scar on his nose. Over here you can remove this part here to reveal some flesh over here. Now, I don't remember him being injured in this way in the cartoon, and I don't also remember the fact of these little arrows. Of course, the cartoon, I did see it a long time ago, and as I said, I'm not the biggest fan of it, even if the Mass Device was pretty cool. So you can put the little arrows. I thought the blind guy had a electric whip. If I'm mistaken, should correct me in the comment section, but I do believe that he did have that kind of whip. I prefer to leave it like this. As you can see, there's plenty points of articulation, of movement. Again, Hasbro really did a fantastic job with these animals. So of course, when you're going to open the box, the back paws are being removed, so you will have to clip them back in. I'm not going to go into any testing about it, but you can really do plenty of cool poses if you want to make him like standing up over here. Really, really fantastic what they did with it. The only thing that you could be a bit nitpicky, you cannot really open him up too much regarding the arms, and you can't get much of a stretch, but I guess here's more left to be put on the ground and have him in this kind of way. So of course you have the screaming head, if we can say like this. So here we can really see, I mean, Hasbro really, really went into really fantastic what they did with this polar bear. Again, for me, Hasbro with the animals, right to now, I haven't been really disappointed. Just a bit maybe by the German Shepherd that they did with our friend Law and Order. But as you can see, you can really get this look, and it looks amazing. So really something of fantastic there. Top notch to Hasbro for again succeeding making a fantastic animal. Now that we have spoken about the polar bear, let's have a look at our friend Snake Eyes. So we do have Snake Eyes over here. We do have the little object that is over here, who is to collect the products, these crystals who are radioactive. And of course we have the object that goes into the mass device, something who's pretty nice. You can remove it, so if your mass device is depleted, it can look pretty nice. So we're going to be having a closer look at all of that when we'll be getting to it. Of course we do have the trap over here, who is the one that Snake Eyes used to save Timber. So of course I can understand that some people may want to say, but yeah, we're not being too bad to get Timber, but we already have him in the classified line, and that would have made an extra animal who would have been a bit overkill. So we have a knife, a pistol, something that I highly appreciate and makes a lot of sense. We have the laser rifle, who is typically and only for the cartoons, and over here we have the glowing radioactive hands. So as you can see, there are plenty of it. Of course, the figure is put on with it, but I prefer to use the ones over here, the hands, because I think they look a lot better. So of course we're going to be having a closer look at our friend Snake Eyes over here. He has this kind of purplish look on him. As you can see, it is the one that they gave with the retro line, so not much of a surprise over here. I think it was a nice touch that they decided to give him not gloved hands, because that's the way he was in the cartoon. So as you can see, the figure is basically what we get with our line on the retro carded version. So of course, if we're going to be nitpicky, I'll be talking about it more on my final thoughts about this figure. But as you can see, everything is basically the same. Now, of course, we have the super pink bubblegum hands. I mean, this is pretty impressive. Have they gone on overkill for this? Yeah, I do think that they did a bit, because we do have plenty of hands. Of course, over here we do have, we do have the ones for getting the pistol. Then we have the fist hands. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much impressive to get all of this. The fist hands, the kung fu knives or saluting hands. Yeah, like I said, don't remember if he uses them really that much. Anyway, so you can tell me in the comment section, because if you watched the show not long time ago, that may help. Of course, over here you can spin, as you can see, the chain over here. Then you also have the movement to close it if somebody walked in the trap. So you could use of course, timber from the double boxes that came out previously in the G.I. Joe classified line. So yeah, it's pretty neat, pretty easy. So of course, everybody will remember this canister if you remember the episode This canister has a bomb in it and it's spreading a toxin, and because of timber and it was CoverGirl, they managed to drove it out of the base and throw it overboard and it blew up. So yeah, it's an interesting little anecdote on the cartoon. Let's take a closer look at the laser rifle. The fact that it has some painting on it and some chrome on it, or silver painting, does look pretty neat. Over here we do have the pistol. Again, like I said, this is nothing new. This is all equipment that we have already seen with some other figures. So yeah, pretty neat on it. So let me tell you what I think about this figure. Do I think it's a collectible item? Do I believe that this figure is great? What are my final thoughts? Let's have a look at all of that. So, going into my final thoughts, and do I think this figure is a collectible item? So, we're going to go on the basics of the collectible item. I do think this figure does have a certain collectible value to it. So, yeah, I would definitely pick some up. Of course, something who's interesting for the people who are in the US, a bit harder for us in Europe, is maybe go and pick up a box that you can see that doesn't have any dents or any other stuff, because even shipped out by Hasbro, because this is where I got them from, it's not said that you will not get any dents on the box. So yeah, I strongly believe that the mass device, if they come out with the mass device, they do like they did with the 25th anniversary, giving us all these bits and pieces to build up the mass device, or maybe make the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, the mass device. I think these sets will be the ones who resonate the most, and I will not pass on it due to the fact that it's limited to Target and of course Hasbro Pulse, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, is this one? I will have to double check. We'll put the. I'm going to double check that immediately, because I think this is something that I do not remember. So yes, this is a general release. So this is something that always gets me confused, because normally when Hasbro does some exclusive products like the mass device over here, they're typically for Walmart or for Target. As you can remember, Target did get the Cobra Island Wave figures, they got the Tiger Force figures, they also got the Python versions of the figures. Then of course Walmart got the Night Force, they got the retro, but that has moved out. So yeah, that's going to correct me a bit on the fact, is it going to be a collectible item? Yeah, and I guess it will be going on discount due to the fact that it is a general release. So for now, I would wait. If you are not much of a fan of wanting to get this stuff straight away, you could wait for it to go down in pricing and then pick it up at a later date. But I do really think that this is going to stay into the collectible items due to the fact of the different accessories that will go with the mass device. And when this set is going to be sold out, when the other gear is going to be coming out, the other mass device parts are going to be coming out, a lot of people who are going to join into the collection, who are going to be picking up, are going to be regretting not picking this one up. So yeah, I do believe it has a certain collectible value. Now that we got that out of the way, what are my final thoughts about this figure over here? So let's start by gearing him up, and I'll be talking about what do I think about it. So again, over here we do have a knife. It goes not that deep, so you can see that certain accessories that are given with this figure are fitting in and are pretty flimsy and coming out. So this is something that I am really not a fan of. Over here again, you can see this is the holster, this is for the silencer, this one also came with Stalker, so this one does hold a bit better in. But the knife over here, you may want to watch out, because this is not the knife who should be going in over here. So again, I think this is something of a bit of a disappointment. You should have kept the original knife who goes in there. That would have made more sense, so with me not falling out as you shake it. So yeah, this is something that's a bit disappointing. Otherwise, I would say that I'm pretty happy with the set. I do like the fact that we're getting this kind of radioactive hands with it. I think it's a bit of a nice touch. The fact of not wanting to put those glowing bits of pink or reddish stuff on this figure does make sense. Also, as you can see, these pegs come out pretty easily. So yeah, it's an interesting figure if you really think about it, and that's something that I do like. But again, I think we had other holsters, we had other stuff, and you could have geared it up, but given this kind of stuff like this, with knife not fitting in, of course, the not getting the silencer. Of course, I know it's not in the cartoon, but come on, this is something that's pretty basic and should be given to all these figures. I really don't understand why Hasbro didn't do that. I think that's a bit cheap, and that's going to be the reason why this figure is going to get a lower note, because this is something that could have been done pretty easily on the behalf of Hasbro. So yeah, so that's the reason I'm going to be giving this figure 8 out of 10. Like I said, I think I understand you want to save money, I understand this kind of stuff, but again, not giving me a holster that fits, not giving me a knife that is adequate to the quiver over here. This is something that is always a huge disappointment. The bear is perfect. Again, like I said, you always really do fantastic on the animals, and that's why I really think that you did a fantastic job on the bear. Snake Eyes, well, like I said, there could have been some little extra stuff done to make this figure a lot better. So that's going to be it for my review of Snake Eyes and the polar bear. So of course, like I said, this is a figure from 2025. I think I forgot to mention the prices on this figure. So suggest retail price of this one is €64.99 and €79.99. So that's the little last information that I forgot to give, and that's going to be putting an end to the review of this figure. If you like this kind of reviews, please leave a like, share, comment in the section. Tell me, did you get it? Are you planning of getting it? Were you a fan of the Master Vice cartoon? Let me know in the comment section. Let's start a conversation on this figure and the bear. Let me know what you think about it. Also, I will be making some pictures as soon as the snow comes around. I'm going to be taking this bad boy out and going to do some pictures with his tank, with some other Cobra Troopers and some other stuff outside. So I'm not going to spoil it, but we'll be posting those in the section on YouTube where you can do it also. But mostly I do post a lot of pictures on Facebook and a bit on Instagram. So if you want to go and check that out, you can. The links are in the description. Also, thanks for everybody who has subscribed. Subscribing does help out the channel. Now, I have to build up the hours of watch, so this is also something that helps out a lot. So share the video with other G.I. Joe fans, and I will be seeing you in my next video. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!